Welcome to another episode of the Cynthia Manion Show. We are live here with Ken Walls, and they are about to take center stage. So, with a zest for life that is really, honestly, as contagious as her laughter and her affirmations and all the wonderful things Cynthia does, she's not just a host, she's a whirlwind of inspiration, wisdom, and fun all rolled into one. An entrepreneur, storyteller, and a digital mentor. She's on a mission to transform the ordinary into the extraordinary. Buckle up for a ride filled with aha moments, belly laughs, and maybe even a few happy tears. We've had those before, because when Cynthia's in the house, anything is possible. So let's give it up for Cynthia Manion and the Cynthia Manion Show.
Yeah. And I am so excited because guess what? One of the reasons I'm here is because Ken Walls keeps saying, do you go live every day? Are you on? Are you live? Are you live? I'm like, okay. So I told him, like, do you want to be on my show? He was like, yeah. I'm like, yes. I have known Ken Walls since pre-COVID. We actually met at a Jeffrey Gittimore mastermind. I met him and his lovely wife, Jill Walls, and just hit it off. It was like instant friends.
Yeah.
Ken Walls, I don't know who's on here who doesn't know him. If you don't, I want you to know he is amazing. He is a technological genius. He's an expert in marketing and social media. He will get you off your and get you out there into the social world. He is a speaker, a motivator. He does all things digital, and he is my friend. And guess what? His whole family is my friend, and they are wonderful people. Who are you going to call? Relationship capital. Are you going to go with your friends? Who do you trust more? Your friends. Who can you call? Your friends. Who will give you a referral? Your friends. Ken gets amazing referrals from his friends, and you can build a beautiful life this way because it's all about joy. You want to have joy doing this, right? And if you're not doing it yet, be the person you want to be. Go backwards and work it forward and go for it. As some of my friends go, this is so now I go. This is so. And without further ado, it is Mr. Ken Walls. Woohoo! The one, the only, the great Ken Walls. Breaking through walls, not only with me, but across the universe. And he was just talking about the universe in our pre-conversation. And I just want to start off with that because that's so exciting. Yeah, he's going to go into the universe for one of his podcasts, maybe next week. Let's talk about that first, Ken.
Wow, what an introduction. Thank you. Yeah, so I have been referred to somebody that I'm going to leave nameless for now, but he was the CEO of a couple of different multi-billion-dollar corporations. One of them being Blockbuster Video in the past, and super guy. He's so just a good guy. And he's going to be on my show, and rumor has it that he may be doing the show from Nassau.
Ooh, how
Excuse
cool
me.
is
So
that?
that's really cool. So we'll see what happens, how it all shakes out, but I'm excited about having him on. And just an amazing guy that has flies his own jet, has his own jet, and just super guy, amazing guy. So yeah, I'm excited about it. I've had a lot of I've been very blessed to have a lot of incredible people on my show, including you, Cynthia.
And it was a wonderful interview. It is right there in the top 3 interviews of all time.
Thank you.
Ken really got to my heart and soul and brought out stuff that I hadn't thought about in years. And I was just like, not years, decades, actually.
Yeah.
I was like, wow. And it really brought me joy. I was like, wow.
Yeah.
And he can do that for you. And you know what? You got to connect with us because we connect people, and you need to be on your show and doing your thing. And why don't we take a moment and just step back, and why don't you give us a little, for people who don't know the famous, the one and only Ken Walls, a little bit about your background and yourself and that good stuff.
I was born and raised in the great state of Ohio, and excuse me, I was born into a family that we didn't have money growing up. In fact, we had no money growing up from what I recall, but somehow we got by and made it. But I realized at about 7 or 8 years old that all the kids that had back in my day, the Jordache jeans and the designer jeans and all of the stuff, that I wanted that because I didn't want the clothes I was wearing because they weren't very nice. They were from, they just weren't the best. They were what my mom could afford, but just wasn't much. And so I decided to go out and start mowing yards in the summer and shoveling snow in the winter. And I would go door to door and knock on doors. And, I figured out how to make my own money. And I always did that as a kid throughout my entire teenage years. I was always hustling, trying to make a dime. And growing along the way. And, at, I don't know, 17 years old, I guess I was a senior in high school. They said that I didn't get a biology credit in 10th grade. And I said, yeah, because I hated biology. And they're like, well, you need that to graduate. And I'm like, well, that's stupid. And I tried negotiating with them, and they wouldn't have it. So they wouldn't negotiate with me to get that piece of paper. So I walked out and I said, I don't need it then. Good luck. Bye. I'm out of here. And I see some of my favorite people in the world on here, Marilyn and Nick and Laura and Dr. Laura, I call her. Patricia Gigich, I love you. She's amazing.
Yes, she is. You're all amazing. Thanks for joining us.
And share this out. Share it to everybody.
Yeah.
So I that's kind of, I started and it was a very tumultuous household that I grew up in. Tremendous amount of pain and violence and just a lot of craziness. And so I was a rebel. I was always, fighting back. And I just, I don't know. I always bucked against what I was told not to do. And so, in my 20s, I didn't graduate high school. I got a job working at the Honda factory right after that, building cars in Marysville, Ohio. And started there in 1988, I want to say. And I built cars for Laura said, still a rebel, but now it's called a trendsetter. But I did this and I worked all over the plant for about 2.5 years. I hated every day that I was there. I constantly, like, there's no windows, like you couldn't even see outside. It was like, you don't know what time it is without looking at a clock. And so eventually they gave me some crap. Somebody that helped me get hired actually gave me some crap. And I said, I don't like this anymore. So I quit. And he goes, you can't quit. And I go, I'm quitting. I'm leaving. Excuse me. I clocked out at lunch and never went back. And you got to understand that, this is in 1990 ish. And I was making 50,000 a year. That was 35 years ago. That's like 110,000 or so a year now. And I was only 18, 19, 20 years old. And, but I just absolutely hated it. And every day I went there, I just hated it. And so I went into sales because I knew people in my life that were in sales. My ex-father-in-law was like a global VP of sales or something for Pfizer or some pharmaceutical company. And I saw the kind of money he made. And I was like, this is this is insane. I need to do that. And so I got into sales, and I knew that I was instantly going to be extremely wealthy. And so I went out and I started selling and instantly became extremely broke.
Oh,
And I was like, I have no idea. Oh, I love you, Sandy Archer. She's amazing. I had no idea what I was doing. I just thought I could go out with my personality and my smile, and that would be it. And you know, people would just be like, "Oh my God, I got to buy from you. You're amazing." And that's not the way that it went at all. And I had a very upset wife, ex-wife now, but she was very unhappy that I quit my job and gave up all that stuff and the insurance and everything.
cool.
So, excuse me. So, that's when I started listening to, somebody gave me an audio cassette or a book or something of Zig Ziglar and then Brian Tracy and all of these amazing people. And I started listening to Brian Tracy, who's been on my show now, which is just unreal. Brian
So
Tracy has this cassette course, and I showed it to him. I have it here somewhere. I showed it to him when he was on my show, and it's called The Psychology of Selling. And I'm listening to Zig Ziglar too, and you know, and Tony Robbins. I was reading his books, and
Mhm.
as I started digging into this, well, first I found out that Brian Tracy quit school in 10th grade. I was like, oh my God. And here he is, a legend and this master in his space. And I met somebody I know. Well, I hadn't met him yet. I didn't meet him until just a couple years ago. But like, I'm like, it inspired me because I thought, oh my gosh, there's hope for me. Because he said in his tapes that, you know, you just have to educate yourself. You educate yourself. And then I heard Jim Rohn, you know, said something like, you know, how's it go? I forget the exact quote, but you can make, a formal education will make you a living. Self education will make you a fortune. And all of these things back in my early 20s just clicked for me. And I was like, okay, wait a minute. And there was always this question in my mind too, that, you know, these teachers in schools and these, and nothing against teachers at all. But where do they get their information from? They get it out of a book, or somebody else has delivered that information to them. And then they deliver it, their version of it, to students. And then I would always think, well, okay, where did it originate though? Like, how did it get into that book? And why are we teaching people from that book and so I always questioned things like that. And I still do to this day.
excellent.
So I think, okay, where did this thought, this lesson, this principle, this whatever, where did it originate? And how can I use it to make my life and the world a better place? So I started back then. All these books behind me are real. I've read all of them. Well, there's probably a few on there I haven't gotten to yet, but you know, I'm obsessed with learning. I'm obsessed with reading. I'm obsessed with becoming a better version of me and making the world a better place. And so in my 20s, I did that sales job for a little bit, and it's a long story. I moved various times to different places, but I ended up getting into the satellite business, direct TV and Dish Network and all of that, and the great big giant dishes, satellite dishes. And I became the largest 1 year direct TV dealer in the US. And I had, I don't know, I had 30 plus 40 salespeople going door to door every day selling it and selling our services. And I developed ways to sell it and home security systems and all of this stuff, and built this multi-million-dollar company, this business. And here's the thing. I had along the way, I had all these different troubles that I ran into in life. And fast forward to 34 years old, after many years of being told that I had a problem with alcohol drinking, at 30, and I always said, I don't, no, I just drank too much. I didn't, I didn't have a problem. You have a problem. And, sorry, the UPS guy loves to ring the doorbell. I need to put a sticker up on the thing. But so I pushed people away. I pushed them away. And, at 34 years old, I finally surrendered to the fact that I had a problem with alcohol, that I was an alcoholic. And it was the hardest thing. Oh my gosh. Because I couldn't imagine living a day of my life where I didn't drink. I thought, what do you boring people do that don't drink? How do you have fun? I mean, I didn't understand any other way of living. I started drinking at a very, very young age, before I was 10. I mean,
Really?
I was drunk the first time before I was 10 years old. And by the time I was 13, I'm convinced that I was a full-blown alcoholic at 13 years old. I have a daughter that's 13. That's mind-boggling to me.
How is Abigail?
She's awesome.
Oh, tell her I
And
said hi.
I will. And I think about these things. And so I got sober. I got help. I got sober. And I'd like to say life became instantly magical, but it didn't. It was painful, and it was letting go of addictions and all of the stuff that was just holding me back in life, and surrendering to a power greater than me that I call God. And I had to surrender over and over and over every day of my life, and I still do. Every day I surrender to the power that I'm powerless over what alcohol does to me. So I surrender every day. It's a daily thing for me, and I have for over 21 and a half years now. But it's one day at a time for me. I live my life I don't want to use Glenn's thing, because that's Glenn's, but his is, I live my life in such a way that tomorrow I'm proud of my yesterday.
Yeah.
But I live my life today to help other people, to show people a pathway that is definitely better if they really truly want it. And I'm not talking about like getting them to quit drinking. People drink, and I don't care. Whatever you do, you do. It doesn't matter to me. I'm talking about more being available. So I got sober at 34. I started building websites professionally, really been into technology since, I got my first computer at 11 years old. It was a Commodore 64C. I taught myself basic computer language. And then in 1994, when the internet was just starting to really take off, I had a friend. I lived in West Virginia, where I became the big satellite guy. I made the state flower, the satellite dish in West Virginia. I joke about that, but we did so many of them. It was ridiculous. But hey, Charlotte Frost. I love Charlotte. She's just, oh, I love that woman.
Hi guys. Hi Eric. Hi Zena.
And Zena. Hey Zena, it's great to see you, and Bonnie and Eric.
Yeah.
Eric Flanoy.
Thanks for coming.
There's Tim Gillette. What's happening, brother? So I finally, at 34 years old, I finally surrendered. And look, as an alcoholic, it was easy for me, because this is what alcoholics do. They blame everybody else for everything going wrong. and I had become very accustomed to blaming people. Like if people came to me and said, "Dude, what you did last night was unacceptable. Your behavior and your drinking is," I mean, either they said, eventually I got them to apologize to me for confronting me like that, or I got them out of my life because I needed to protect my alcohol. I needed to protect the best friend that I had in the world, and that was alcohol on every level. And so by the time I was 34 years old and nobody would talk to me anymore, and nobody would my family, nobody, like everybody was done with me. um I was sitting in a bar by myself, and it was an upscale bar restaurant, and I had had 7 huge draft beers, and could walk a straight line. My tolerance was completely unpredictable. I could have one drink and be in a blackout. I could drink 7 or 10 and not feel a thing at all. I'm completely stone cold sober. And this happened to be one of those nights where no matter how much I drank, I was stone cold sober. I was smoking 2 packs of cigarettes a day back then. I was eating 2 packs of Rolaids every day just to kill the heartburn nonstop. I was vomiting. There were times when I'd throw up blood. I was
Nice.
jaundiced and bloated. I was dying of alcoholism, and I didn't know it. I thought everybody else was the problem. I did not realize that I was the problem and that alcohol was the problem. The last thing I ever wanted anybody to say to me was, "Ken, you're an alcoholic." I just I that was my best friend. That was my courage. That was my everything, was alcohol. And so um this one particular night, this guy comes in, sits down next to me on the bar stool next to me, and he goes, "Hey, dude, I put in my notice. I'm quitting my job. I can start working for you in a couple weeks." And I remember the guy very well. And it's crazy how I ran into him a couple years after I got sober and got to make amends to him. And he was very forgiving. But he says that to me, and I looked at him like, "Are you stupid? What are you talking about, dude? I'm downsizing my company. I'm not hiring. Why would you think you're coming to work for me?" And he goes, "Well, maybe it's because 2 nights ago you were in here and offered me that position and told me to put in my notice and you'd hire me." And I was like, "That didn't happen. What are you talking about?" He goes, "You don't remember that?" And I go, "Dude, what are you talking about? We didn't have that conversation." He goes, "We had that conversation. Wow. Wow. I can't believe this." And he was so upset. And he says, "You know what? You need to go get some help. Everybody around here knows you're nothing but a drunk. Go get some help. Go to AA. Go get some help." And he was pissed off, and he got up and he walked out. And I said, wow. So he leaves, and I'm like, huh. I felt like a bright spotlight suddenly was shining down on me, and everybody in the bar was looking at me. Although that wasn't happening, it felt that way. I was humiliated, and I was in disbelief that suddenly everybody knew I was an alcoholic. All these years of being told you have a drinking problem, you should probably consider getting help, being in and out of Alcoholics Anonymous for many years. I was court ordered to AA at 12 years old. Like I was in and out of AA all those years. And this moment, I believe, people are like, ego is evil. No, my ego saved my life that night, because I could not egotistically, I could not take the fact that he had just told me everybody knows I'm nothing but a worthless drunk. And it was the next night. So I literally took one more sip of my beer, left half of a beer sitting on the bar, paid my tab, walked out, sorry everybody, but I did. I drove back to my hotel because my ex had thrown me out of the house, by the way. So I was living in a hotel. And I remember somebody called me trying to get me to go out partying. Nope. Shut off my cell phone. I laid down on this hotel bed and I started bawling my eyes out. Bawling. Unstoppable. And I said, I don't know how to handle this. I don't know how to make it stop. And I said, God, if you're real, then I need your effing help. And I cussed at him. I said, I can't live like this anymore. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to make it stop. And there were no burning bushes. There was no parting of the sea. The next day I got up, felt like crap, asked God to help me stay sober that day. And then I went to a meeting, an AA meeting that night, way out of town because I thought I was that important, that I couldn't be seen walking into a church for an AA meeting. Anyway, by the grace of God, a lot of hard work. I haven't had a drink or a mind or mood altering drug since then. And it's August the 10th of 2002. So, I celebrate that every year, that day. It's my rebirth day, I call it, right? And a lot of people in recovery do call it that. It's the best thing that ever happened to me. It doesn't mean that it made life easy. It didn't. I had a lot of hard work in front of me. I had a lot of hard work that I had to do. But it's definitely, for me, it's a much better way to live. My children have never seen me take a drink. My wife has never seen me take a drink. That's a gift and a blessing. And I know this to be a fact. As long as I stay sober, no matter what is going on in my life, if I stay sober, I have a really, really good shot at making it all work out. And then, some other things I've learned along the way too, but sorry, that took me a long time to answer your question, but that's a little bit about me. And I'm so much more than a recovered alcoholic today, but that's a little about me.
But that's good for listeners who are in that position or haven't seen the light or didn't get hit, that you can be a role model and a hero in this area as well, not just technology, because everything happens to everyone and you don't know until you've walked in their shoes.
Yeah.
And 10 years old, I can't even imagine how you possibly could even get it at 10 years old.
It was everywhere. It was everywhere.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I'm so proud of you. I know I've done a couple of testimonials for you on your alcohol birthday on August 10th, and that has to be so commendable every single day. That's discipline, folks. That's a passion for life. That is a passion for his life, because he knows that that's what he has to do. And it's probably has made you such a good man and makes you who you are right now.
I got to be honest with you though. I think that for me, thank you, Tim. Thank you. I appreciate that. For me, I'm not one of these people that thinks that God shows favoritism. I don't believe that. I think we all have the same exact opportunities in life. God is indifferent about it. Like, you can be a winner, you can be a loser, you can do whatever you want with your life. That's the way I feel about it. I don't think God shows favoritism. But this sobriety gig for me has been a huge blessing. And I'll tell you, in my first book, Walls of Wisdom, Turning Pain into Profit, I wrote this quote that I heard from, I think, Dr. Wayne Dyer. I don't remember exactly who I heard it from, but the quote is, "Pain is the predecessor of all wisdom." And I got to this place in my life where, man, I delivered so much pain to myself and to others that, and I don't forget it. It's still there, very clearly there, about what I did in my past to cause so much harm and pain to myself and to others. I totaled a motorcycle one night. I shouldn't have lived. The way I was dressed in shorts and a t-shirt, and I totaled it into a barbed wire fence. And I have the scars to prove it. You could see my femur through one of in my leg. I've been through so much painful stuff. My creation, by the way, that I just don't have a freaking desire to ever go back there. There's Jennifer. Hey, Jennifer.
Hey, Jen.
I love you, Jen. Good to see you. I just don't have the desire to ever go back there. So no matter how stressed out I might get or whatever, I never see getting drunk as an option. It's just not. It's not an option for me.
And the universe and God has given you new light, new path to help new people.
Yeah.
And you can let that stuff go behind you and go forward as you are.
Yeah.
And so what is on your, how's your 2024? I know your 2024 is going beautifully.
2024 is amazing.
I have the book.
You do. I love that.
So many great adventures. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the new stuff?
Well, since since Jennifer is on here.
Yeah. Hi, Tim.
She's the reason that Grow Live Academy even exists. So I had Grant Cardone and Jeffrey Gittimer on a live stream together one night. They both got on with me, and I was promoting Jeffrey's book, Get Shit Done, and helping Jeffrey promote the book. And Grant hopped on, and we had, I don't know, thousands of people watch that live stream. Excuse me. I'm sorry for that. And Jen called me or texted me like, hey, you need to teach people how to do what you just did. Like, people don't know how to do that. And I go, yeah, I've been thinking about doing a course or something. And she goes, you need to stop thinking. And I think she called me then, or I don't know, but she showed me, how to create, she uses this software Kajabi to create this course. And I'm like, oh, okay. And so I just said, okay, I'll do it. And I signed up for it, and I literally, that was like on a Friday, I think. And hey, Bob Donnell, that was like on a Friday. And by Sunday, I was pre-selling the course, and it was called Grow Live Academy.
Action.
Yeah. And so that's how I started the whole thing. And it was, that's how I started Grow Live Academy. I had already started my show, Breakthrough Walls. Jen was also very instrumental in that, because she was my very first guest on Breakthrough Walls.
Ooh.
For those that don't know that. And I don't even know that I called it Breakthrough Walls yet. I'm not sure. I don't remember. But that's where my podcast and show started, was with Jen. She was my first guest, and she's just, I love that. I love that woman. She's amazing. And then she referred me to somebody, and then I had Jeffrey on, and he's referred me to people. And it's just been now 550 plus interviews and guests. And Bob Donnell referred me to Glenn Morshower. And yes, Jen, I owe all of my success to you. I'll send you a check. I'm kidding. Don't look for that. But anyway, I love Jen. She's amazing. But I look at, like, Bob referred me to, he's been on my show, and he referred me to Glenn Morshower, who's now my brother. Like Glenn is literally, we're brothers. Like he's my brother. And Bob referred me to Mark Victor Hansen, who's been on multiple times. She said, I'll be waiting. But you know, I've had all of these amazing people on my show now. And it's ranked, the podcast portion of it's in the top 10% in the world now, which is insane to me. I've had Patricia Geigich on. I love that woman.
Amazing. I love her too.
You know, I've been so blessed having these amazing people. And I started my show because I was stuck in life. And I'll never forget, I was like, oh, I got to get attention. You know, Grant Cardone says money follows attention. I'm like, I got to get attention. I'm not knocking on doors. I know how to knock on doors. I've knocked on tens of thousands of doors, but I hate it and I don't want to do it. There's got to be a better way. And there is. And it's called getting other people on your show, interviewing them. They share it out. And now you have access to their audience, and and you just help people share their story. Because the one thing that I know, I'll never forget this, and I based my entire show off of this premise. In the meetings of Alcoholics Anonymous, I would sit there and you know, sometimes you're in this big circle, and there was this one meeting I went to, and in the middle of the floor of this big circle, we would sit in and talk and work out life's problems. There was a sign in the middle of the floor that we always laid in the middle of this big sign in the middle of the floor. And the sign said this one thing: hope is found here.
Mm.
And that kept me going back over and over and over. And I think about that when it comes to everybody on this planet. You know, we may be, some of us are super wealthy, some of us are just doing okay, and some of us are not doing okay at all. But there's one common thread that runs through all of us, and that is that most of us want to make a difference in the world, a positive difference. And most of us are seeking hope of some kind on some level. And what I know to be true is that if I provide a platform for people to come on, like you're doing right now, Cynthia, if I provide this platform for people to come on and share their experience, strength, and hope, to share their story, their wisdom, their pain, and their overcomings, and if I provide that, then there is absolutely no way that God or the universe, whatever you want to refer to God as, there's no way that I won't receive in return. And I recently had somebody, I won't mention who it is, but I thought it was a fairly arrogant conversation, ask me, why don't you charge people to be on your show?
Oh.
I'm like, because I'm not going to do that. Why? You've got a big audience. You should be charging them. I go, because I'm not going to do that. Well, do you have sponsors on your show? Nope, I don't. Why? Because I'm not going to do that. Why? You're leaving a lot of money on the table. And I'm like, but yet I'm doing all right. And no, Jen, it's not that. It's somebody else actually that you probably don't know, but somebody in California that I was talking to, and I said, I don't want to do that. It compromises the integrity of my show. My show is about leaving the door open for people to come in and tell their story. And that's it, to share their story. And I don't need to monetize that. I can monetize in other ways. Plenty of people have come on my show. Many, many, many people have come on my show, told their story, asked me what I do. And I say, I build websites and I'm a coach and I do amazing things. And then they've hired me to help them with a variety of things. So, I don't worry about monetizing. I worry about getting attention and helping other people get attention. And by doing that, it pays great dividends. I can promise you that.
And it builds your relationship capital so that you can connect people, make more friends, and that person helps that person out, and the whole community grows and brings more joy. and you meet more people and you get
Yep.
into your groups and you find your tribe. And all of a sudden you're like, oh, so
I,
this is life. This is where I'm supposed to be.
I received a Mark Victor Hansen is the #1 best-selling author in the world. He sold over 600 million books. And he is, you know him, you've written some books through his company. He's a good friend of mine. And I met him through Bob Donnell. And I think about, like, I got this package in the mail, I don't know, a month or a month and a half ago from Mark and his wife. And it was a huge package, it packed in dry ice of all these frozen steaks and all this stuff. I was like, oh my gosh. And it was a gift from him and Crystal and Xavier Eichencoder and Reverend Ike, his
Wow.
wife. They all chipped in and sent me this beautiful, I mean, it was, I don't know how much that probably, I don't, what doesn't even matter. It was a lot of
You can
food.
catch it. He did a podcast on it. I saw it. It was amazing.
Yeah.
You could have us
So-
all over for dinner and have leftovers.
Right. So I had, you know, I had helped them promote the launch of the Reverend Ike book,
Mhm.
which is laying right next to me. The Reverend Ike book. Reverend Ike was a very, very famous preacher back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, maybe even into the 90s, that had an amazing ministry, television ministry, evangelist, and he went against the grain and taught prosperity. And Xavier is a good friend of mine. He's going to be on my show
Of course he is.
as a solo on my show at towards the end of this month, I think. And you know, I've built these unbelievable relationships and friendships with people. I'm texting today. Every day I look at my text messages and think, how in the world am I texting with Mark Victor Hansen? How am I texting with the former CEO of Blockbuster and 7-Eleven, Jim Keyes? How's that happening? I have his cell phone number. How am I texting with Paul Hutchinson, who owned a $48 billion company, who did the Sound of Freedom movie? Paul Hutchinson is a friend of mine. Like, how is that possible? And I'm going to tell you how it's possible. It's possible because Grant Cardone taught me probably the most important thing that I've ever learned in my life. Now, I learned it early on by reading How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie, but Grant teaches it in a little bit of a different way. And that is, you flow power to power. Flow power to power. What does that mean? What that means is this. If I want to become friends with Mark Victor Hansen, and I research Mark and I find out Mark has a book coming out, well, I have a platform for that. And I'm an Amazon influencer now too. Amazon reached out and I can live stream directly to Amazon's customers. And not everybody can do that. And so, you know, I have a couple of platforms. I can bring him on to my audience of 100 and whatever, 130, 150,000 people and live stream and get his message out, or I can live stream directly to Amazon. I know how to get traction on social media, so I can help him with that. What can I do for somebody that sold 600 million books? Most people would be like, well, there's nothing I can do for that guy.
Oh.
Unless you build a platform. If you build a platform like what you're doing right now, and I'm going to tell you something, the first couple 200-300 interviews were not easy. I had John Lee Dumas on my show, and John Lee Dumas, if you don't know who he is, Entrepreneurs on Fire, is one of the top podcasts in the world. Like, he's number 1 to 10 at any given time in his rankings for business podcasts. And he said, and John's a friend of mine on Facebook. He may even see this, but you know, he says, dude, how many of these have you done? I said, you're like number 320 or whatever it was. I don't remember. And he said, And you do them all live? And I go, yeah. He goes, you realize that puts you in the top 1% of all podcasters in the world?
You work hard.
The episodes? Because
Yeah.
most people give up before they hit 50 episodes. Because it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work. It's hard work.
It's
And
great. You learn so much.
and doing it right and promoting it and
Reading
then
the books.
Huh?
You got to read the book before you talk to the author.
Yeah. I mean, you got to do all of these things. And it's like, wow. That's a lot of work.
You're amazing, Ken Walls.
It's a lot of work. But you know, look, if you want something bad enough, you'll figure it out. And if you don't, then you'll make excuses. And I hate excuses. I am like anti-excuse guy. Don't come to me with excuses. I don't like them. You either figure it out or you make excuses for not figuring it out.
Yes. Wow. So let's go to what brings you joy right now, besides being on my show.
What brings me joy is obviously both of my daughters and my wife. What brings me joy is watching other people. I love seeing the light come on for other people. And Glenn Morshower and I just did a live event. You were there.
Yes.
And we invited 30 people.
The Ken and Glenn show.
The Ken and Glenn show. Yep. And we had 30 people show up from all over the world. Patricia Geigich was there. You were there. Bonnie was there. I'm looking through the list.
Victoria from Switzerland was there.
Nick was there. Victoria flew in from Switzerland. Patricia flew in from Canada. We literally had people from all over the world that flew in for this 2.5-day event. And I watched the light come on for so many people. Glenn is brilliant. And I don't think you could go to Glenn with any problem in the world and him not be able to help you find a solution, and you walk away feeling like, man, I'm a better human being as a result of being in that guy's energy. And that's what I want to leave people with too. I want people to walk away and go, I'm a better human and I have better direction than I've ever felt in my life by being in that guy's presence. That's what I want people to feel. That's what brings me joy.
Yeah, me too. True that.
Yeah.
It just makes you jump out of bed in the morning because you're so excited. You can't wait to talk to. And also just look at the sky, all the whatever temperature, whatever weather, and just be grateful. Just be grateful for you.
Yep.
And just, wow. I'm like in constant awe. Just like I'm in constant awe of you and all of our people that are on this and all the people that I'm meeting. And we have a little gift, and it's just a little seed, like just a smile sometimes in the grocery store or helping someone. It is amazing what you can do every single day. And it just is like, I don't want to tell like stories. I want to ask you more questions. So
I got Patricia Geigich just said, best event ever. Ken and Glenn make a difference. Thank you, Patricia.
Yes.
That's very, very sweet. She's making a huge difference in this world too, as are you. I see so many people out there. You know, if you ask just about anybody, what do you want out of life? Most people say, I want to be happy. I want to be comfortable. Why? There's so much more available. Why don't you want more than happy and comfortable?
Yeah.
How do you, I mean, happy's cool. That's a good goal, but I feel like that's just a generalized statement. It's a cop out. So you don't have to put in the freaking work, because a lot of people, I believe, are afraid. I don't believe in laziness. I believe that people are not lazy. I believe people are not driven because they're afraid to pursue what they really, really want because they're afraid of putting in the work. What if I put in all the work and it doesn't work out because maybe they've had bad relationships or marriages or things not work out in the past? Of course they have. All of us have. And they've given up on life. And I believe that's where laziness comes in.
Maybe it's just the vision isn't big enough. You got to like see it and then work backwards and go, okay, so if this is what I want to make sure that everyone can read. I want to help literacy. I want to save the oceans. I don't want anyone to drown in a swimming pool, right? So swimming and literacy. So, okay, so what am I going to do for that? What am I going to do for that? So then you back it up and you go, okay, so there's a little boy in our neighborhood recently moved in here. I'm like, well, I don't speak Spanish, but maybe we could get together, once a week or something. And I can just talk and read a book to him. And we've got Sheila Frost in here who just wrote children's books. And
Charla Frost.
Oh, so sorry, Charlotte. But she wrote children's books and they're adorable, right?
Yep.
And so then you just go, okay, I can do this. I've been reading for years to different people. I did old age homes actually.
Yeah.
And so you start there and you just build on that. And then you go, okay, so you got a book. Okay. And then pretty soon. And that's just one little thing on one little vision. Swimming, get people in the oceans. People haven't even been to beaches.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy.
And art, music. I mean, it is just mind-boggling. Just pick something. Everyone just pick something and you go, it is in my nature to smile to people. It is in my nature to listen to great music. It is in my nature, even if you can't afford the most beautiful painting, you can get a print of it and put it in your house for inspiration. Color and music vibration gets you up. Patricia gifted us with a beautiful picture that she did.
Yes, she did. It's amazing.
And then gifted to, so you're like giving your heart and your soul.
Yeah.
Like Ken is giving his heart and your soul to each and every one of us now. And he and Glenn did it at this mastermind. And there's another one coming up in March. DM me if you want to go. We'll send you all the details because come be a part of the tribe. But so we have that going on. You have to work on yourself first, though, before you can give. The old airplane thing, put your oxygen mask on before you help somebody else.
Yep.
So as Ken pulled himself up and brought himself into who the man he is now and the man he is becoming, what is your vision for the next 4 to 5 years?
Mine?
Yeah, yours.
I don't really plan that far in advance.
Okay. 2024.
2024. Here's the thing. Hey, Carrie Carter. I see Carrie Carter and Marilyn Hines.
Hey.
Two people I love and adore. They were both at the Ken and Glenn event. Joe said, "Were you crying?" Yes, Joe. I knew you were in the audience, so I cried for you.
Oh.
No, I wasn't crying. I had an eyelash fall in my eye.
I had a tear or two.
Look, I get up and I write my goals down every single day. I love Joe. Yes, I do love you, Joe. Although I called you last night and you didn't answer and never called me back. We won't talk about that on the air. Oh, whoops, I just did. But I think about what I want this year. I have some big goals, long-term goals. I don't really get into great detail with those. The Ken and Glenn events are huge. I have other people. I didn't call from a block number. I've had Brian Proctor and Bob Proctor's son, who's a friend of mine. And Brian told me that he had a dream that him and I were on stage and there were thousands of people in the audience. And I'm like, wow. Of all the wow. So, my goal is to impact a lot of lives in a positive way, to wake this planet up. People are asleep. And they've been fed lines of crap through mainstream crap for so long that they don't even know who they are. They're just living on autopilot in a way that other people have programmed them to behave and be. And that's not that's how's that fun? How's that that's not what life's about for me.
Yeah, you need a great big walk in nature. Shake that off.
Yeah.
Let's talk about technology. That's a big suite for you. And
Yeah.
we have all this AI coming on, and we
Yeah.
need to embrace it, and everyone needs to make it our friend and not be afraid.
Yeah. Yep. Technology is what I've done for 30 years. What do you want to talk about? AI?
Yeah, let's talk about AI and what people can be doing now in the grassroots to get going, and what platforms you would say. What would you say to use? You know, there's so many. You see the chat GPI
Chat
and
GPT.
yes,
Yes.
yes. So
Chat GPT, like Joe just said, is his business partner now. Chat GPT is unbelievably powerful. There's literally, I mean, there's nothing, it's almost like there's nothing that it can't do. Like you can write a book with Chat GPT's help. You can create images that don't exist anywhere in the world with Chat GPT, with their DALL-E um, section of Chat GPT. Chat GPT is $20 a month for the premium version. And it's like, it does so much. It does I mean, there's literally nothing that it can't do. I've had it write code for website problems I couldn't figure out. It wrote the code for me by me asking it the right way. And it's all about the prompts. You got to get the right prompts in there. But Chat GPT is unbelievable. And people that are afraid of it and aren't trying to utilize it and figure it out and learn it. Alex Hermosi did a video, like, remember that AI has only been out for a little over a year and some change, a few months. Came out in November of 2022. Alex Hermosi did a video, I think, in December of 2022. And he said, if you're not utilizing AI in 2 years, your business won't exist. I almost believe that to be true now. It is, and the thing is, it's getting smarter and smarter and smarter every day.
So is
almost
everyone here using Chat GPI in the audience?
Chat GPT. Chat
Yeah,
GPT.
right. Thank you.
There's a lot of people using it. Carrie uses it. Joe, I think, has written some books about it.
So what would you tell them? What's the next level?
Learn it. Get creative. That's the other thing, is when life is not going exactly well for you, you know, every religion across the world that I've studied, at least, refers to us humans as a particle or a part of God, and God is the creator of everything. Well, if God is a creator and he created all of this stuff and we're part of God, that makes us creators. If life isn't going well for you, start creating. And you say, well, what do I create? I don't know. Get on Chat GPT and ask it, what should I create? And it'll start asking you questions like, well, what do you like? I don't know what it'll ask you, but it'll help you. It helps you tap into that creative side that we all have and we should be exercising. But most people on this planet are not. Oh my God, there's Kelly Combs. Hey, Kelly, how are you? They're most people are not exercising their creative side. And so by not utilizing it, what happens to a muscle that you don't use ever? It atrophies. By not using your creative side of your brain, it's going to atrophy. The good news is you can bring it right back. Just jump in. Just jump in and start doing it.
Does anyone have any questions out there?
Do you stop right at an hour, or do you not care about that?
We can keep going. We can keep going.
Okay.
Yes, because I feel like this is just the tip of the iceberg, and you have so much more to say.
I'm good with whatever. So, but yeah, I do smell dinner cooking. However, it smells good. Dan Altmeier's in the house.
Hey, Dan, how are
Kelly,
you?
that's so nice. She said, "Any better, I'd be you."
So everyone on our chats is currently using AI in some form or another. Is that correct?
I would imagine. I would imagine. I would hope that they are. So remember, when you ask a question, though, there's about a 20-30 second delay. Tell Jill I'll be over for dinner if you. That's funny. Yeah. So look, I think that again, I think that she called it Chat GBT. It's Chat GPT. I don't even remember what the GPT stands for now. But anyway, look, I think that there is so much more available to every single person in this world than what they're going after or giving themselves permission to go after. So much more available. And I think Grant Cardone, Grant, if you ever watch this interview or hear this, I hope you know this. Potato, green bean.
You can send it to him. So how do you balance your family life with your technology?
Hang on. Let me finish this real quick. I give Grant all the credit in the world. He literally woke me up in 2014. And if it wasn't for him waking me up the way that he did, I'm not sure where I'd be right now. But I'm very, very grateful. Very, very grateful. So say that again about.
Well, wait a minute. We'll stay with Grant for a minute. So he got you doing the lives every day and being on social media more and more and more. You saw him, you gave him, I think you made him wine with his labels, and he offered you a ride on his jet, and you said, no, I just want to spend time with you.
Yeah, I went
up your brain.
Yeah. I went to Miami, spent almost 3 hours sitting at his desk with him. And it completely woke me up. It totally woke me up. So I'm very grateful for that. And along the way, other things I've learned from him and from other people. Glenn Morshower. Glenn is
amazing.
He's my best friend in the world. And he's got so much wisdom that you can't. I don't even know how to explain it. His wisdom comes from somewhere else, and when you're just like, when he calls me, I can have a conversation with Glenn, and I hang up feeling like just a completely different person on a much greater scale. And when you're in his presence, like, it's one thing to watch Glenn on camera, on TV, in the movies he's done and television shows, or to be on a Zoom, or to be on a live stream watching Glenn. When you're in his presence, physical presence,
get a hug,
like what you guys just experienced, it's completely different. It's so much bigger. Brian Hess, how you doing, brother? It's good to see you, man.
Hi, Sean Frost.
It is completely different than hey, Sean, how you doing, brother? Good to see you. His energy is just unbelievable. But so, I've been around, I've had dinner with Mark Victor Hansen and Crystal and Doug Wing you know, and I've been around some unbelievably giant people, Brian Hess, giant thinkers, giants in their industries. And Glenn, I've been around him a lot. I attribute 99% of my success to those friendships and relationships and those people I've been around. Because if it weren't for them, I would still be a small thinker. If it weren't for them, I wouldn't, I don't know. It's the people. Get around the right people. That's such an old cliche, but my God, the people you hang out with, including family, if you can't bring them up with you, then walk away. You gotta figure that out. Like you gotta, you know, I've heard Grant say that, and he's like, I'm not encouraging divorce, but like, man, if you can't bring them up to where you're going, you got to consider other options, and unless you want to just stay stuck. Because the thing is this, people, there is a huge percentage of people in this world that will say, I want you to win, I want you to do better, but in the back of their mind they're thinking, as long as it's not better than me, right? Well, what if they only make $1,000 a week? They make $1,000 a week and you want to make $100,000 a week. Hanging out with somebody that makes $1,000 a week will never get you to $100,000 a week. I'm just saying. And again, it just depends on what you want. Maybe, and it's not even about the money. Right. If you hang out with somebody that judges everybody that they see walking through a grocery store, you're going to be that person if you hang out with them enough. So the people we hang out with, the Doug Wings, I see Doug on here. Good to see you, brother.
Hey,
the Brian Hesses, the Bob Donnells, the Glenn Morshowers, the Mark Victor Hansons, the Brian Tracys, the people that we hang out with are who we become. That's who that's who influences us more than anything else in life, is the people we're hanging out with. If you want to be a millionaire, go hang out with 5 millionaires. You'll be the 6th. You want to be a broke ass, go hang out with 5 other broke asses, and you'll be the 6th. Water will always seek its own level, no matter what. So if you want more in life, go hang out with people that want more in life.
Yep. Be it till you see it.
That's right. So Cynthia, listen, I love you. I'm so grateful that you asked me to come on your show.
Thank you. I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for what I'm learning from you. I'm grateful from the relationships that I have made through you. I'm grateful for the people that brought us together to meet, Jen and Jeffrey back in the day.
Yeah.
And that whole circle, I'm still friends with every single one of them. Because when you build your tribe,
yep,
wherever you are, you can always reach out and go, hey, I'm doing this. And every single person is rising. Every single person has a higher gift. And we are all like cheering for them. There's no competition in my circle. It's all go, 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 go. And you did that. And yeah, I'm the first one to like clap. And because remember my little chat, we'll all do it together in a minute. So you are amazing. I am amazing. We are amazing.
Yep.
Let's do it. You are amazing. I am amazing. We are amazing. This works, you guys, in the mirror in the morning, on a mountaintop, at the ocean, in a tunnel. And you, the ladies' room or the men's room, before you go out to do a speech, you give yourself a little, I am amazing. You are amazing. We are amazing. And you step out and go, watch this shit. And you just pour out your heart, truth. And it is wonderful to have you, Ken Walls. I'm so proud of you. Keep up the good work. I can't wait to see you again in March. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Jen and Dan and Patricia and Doug and Brian and Kelly and Carrie. And
Brian just said it. High frequencies attract 100.
That's a good one.
Totally agree.
Thank you. Thank you.
So thank you for having me on. I appreciate you, and congratulations on your show and the success you're having with it. there's a lot of amazing people watching you should probably have on your show.
Yeah, you should all come. We'll just set it up.
All of them.
Every Wednesday at 7.
Patricia, Doug, Brian,
Me.
Bob.
Love to have you.
Like, there's just so many people on here. Anyway, listen, I love you. Thank you. I appreciate you.
Thanks for coming to the party, folks, because you are amazing. I am amazing. We are amazing.
We are. Thank you.
It's in your nature to be amazing.
It is. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.